Hello and welcome back to School Night. I'm Nick Hamele. I'm your child's teacher for this year. I have a wife, Christine, two dogs, two kids, one in college and one here at the high school. And I am filming right now in our garden. One of the things I like to do in her spare time is help my wife out here a little bit, though I have to admit she does most of the work. I also do a little bit of foraging. See if I can flip the camera here. In that building right there. And right over here are a couple of pumpkins that we grew. My wife's giant pumpkin right there. Pretty proud of that thing. Pretty sweet. But mostly what today is about is back to school and what do you need to know about what we're doing here this year. All right, next up tonight, we have a classroom tour, just to let you know what your students are seeing from home and what they're seeing in the classroom, since you can't join us here tonight. This is what they see when they come into the room. Face coverings required, reminder right there by the door to make sure everybody's got what they need to stay safe. Once they come in the room, we have some hand sanitizer sitting here for them, and we do ask them to sanitize on the way in and the way out, just to make sure everybody's safe. In addition, we also sanitize the desks with this material between every class. Here's a view from the front of the room towards the back. You can see some of the lab tables, safety showers. You can see that we have the desks spaced as far apart as possible. Plenty of space between the desks, and I've got kids sitting there and back at lab tables to help spread them out and maintain social distance as much as physically possible. Here's the view from the back of the room. Hanging right there in the middle, you can see we have our document cam, which I have magnetized to the ceiling so that I can move that around for those kids who are learning from home so they can see stuff close up in the lab, stuff close up on the board if I need to. And then wherever else we want it. Right now it's set up in the back of the room, and kids seem to be liking that because it feels like they're more part of the class. They can see some other kids sitting in front of them. They can see the board. They can see me when I'm up front. Here's a few of our other guests in the room. We got a big thing of cow hips in the back. I'm not sure where those came from. And then we have Mr. Bones here, my classroom behavior monitor, and he is a real skeleton. He is quite old, sometime in the 1800s, I think. He was donated long before I started here, so I'm not 100% positive on his provenance. Nice mural that Katie McCarthy did for me a number of years ago. And then this is kind of a closer view of the front of the room. Kids can see the board, and this is the door where they walk out. So this next part here, I just want to give you a quick rundown on what the online resources look like in all my classes. Right now you can see I have the Biology 2A classroom page up. It's basically the same format for all of my classes. So rather than reshooting the video multiple times, I'm just going to shoot it once and just change the title at the top of the page for me. So in Biology 2A, you can see right down here on the very first thing or very close to the top will always be the Zoom link to our meeting. So if your students have to do this from home, or if they're in school and I'm having them Zoom with somebody who's at home to do a lab, this is a link they'll jump into. The easiest way to find things in Classroom, at least in my opinion, is to go into the classwork tab at the top. And there I can organize things by topic. In biology, for instance, our first unit is life and taxonomy, and everything having to do with that is under that topic. And then I have a section here called general information. And that's the kind of stuff that's probably more important to parents at this point. It's got our back to school night stuff is in there. Day one online resources and links. This has got things for you to find where things are in the class. We've got a regular Zoom link here. I have a separate Zoom link for enrichment time. If students need to get help from me during enrichment or outside the regular class time, this is the Zoom link that we'll use for that. And this document for each individual class will have the classroom code there for you, should you need that again. And it also has a link to Schoology and getting kids set up in Schoology. I'll show you that in a minute, but Schoology is the page that I'm going to use for testing and for our online study guides. I think it's a little better platform for that type of thing than Google Classroom is at this point. And I already have a lot of stuff built in there from past years, so I'm going to continue to use that, at least to start out here. So I'll go over and take a look at that. I already have a page pulled up for Nat and Phys, and this will be what it looks like for you. Basically, what's going to be up there, I'll move this up here. There's any upcoming assignments. In this case, this is the study guide for this class. Is due September 18th. The easiest way to find things in here is to go into the different units. Right now, I only have the first unit up. If I click on that, and then in there, you'll see assignments. And later, when we get to the testing day, there will be a folder for tests in there as well. And then here are the 4 parts to the study guide. And I do split up the study guides and the tests and the grades with objectives-based grading. So the first objective, quarter 1, standard 1, Internet and Phys, is directional terms. And I have similar nomenclature for all the classes, quarter 1, standard 2, standard 3, second quarter will be quarter 2, and so on. And this allows them to focus their learning on a particular topic or subtopic or skill, and we can assess that, and they can self-assess themselves as well on the study guides, for instance, and see, oh yeah, I know these 3 really well, but this first one I didn't do so well, so that's the one I need to study, or that's the one I need to get help from. And it allows me to see that as well. But their study guides will be in here on Schoology, as will their tests. And they can show you that stuff at any point if you want to. And a lot of the things will give them immediate feedback for things that are multiple choice, true, false, matching kind of things. Short answer and essay type questions, those I'll have to grade, and that will take a little while for me to get them graded and post the grades in here. But I will also be moving the grades from here into the regular PowerSchool page, so you'll be able to see the grades at that point. So that's Schoology. Back into Classroom. Other general information stuff. This is where you'd find the syllabus here. And I'll go through the syllabus a little bit later in the video, but you can click on that and get all the details for your child's specific class. And there's also things like safety awareness. If you're looking for any of our safety documents, safety contracts the kids need to sign, that sort of thing. It's all in there. As far as in each unit, I'm still working on getting this finalized, the format I want, but I'm doing a unit plan, kind of a unit agenda or outline for every unit. I think that's going to be a little helpful with kids maybe having to come in and out of class or in and out at home with everything else going on. Just one place where you can go and look, okay, here's what we did each day, the materials we use, the homework we have. So the Unit 1 plan calendar, I've got the day, 9/4. Up on the top, it'll be what we did that day, what materials we used, and where to find them. I'm not putting links in here at this point because the links are a little bit different for every class, but they should all be able to find those things on Classroom pretty easily, and any homework we have. So you see as we get more into things after the first day, a little more stuff. We got our assignments and when they're due down there at the bottom for every day. The days we've already done are going to be in black print, and I've grayed out the stuff that we haven't gotten to yet. As we do them, I'll change the color. That way it's easy to see what we've done and what I'm hoping to do. These things that are in gray are always subject to change. As we see kids are moving through things faster, or it's taking longer than I anticipated, which seems to be par for the course this year so far with the mirrored learning. All that stuff is going to be there for you, and I'm going to have that for each class eventually. I think it's going to be a good resource if you want to know what we're doing and when we're doing it and when things are due, a good place to look. And then your students can always get you into Classroom. You can invite parents so they can see the Classroom page, and they can show you the stuff on their computer too. Pretty easy. That is pretty much everything we need to cover here. If you have more questions later, you can ask me in the live Zoom or email me, and I'll help you out with that. If you'd like to get a hold of me this year, the best way to do that is going to be via email, hamelen@fortschools.org. Doing it over the phone this year might be a little iffy if we're going in and out of virtual, or if I have to go in and out of virtual. I won't be able to check my messages as regularly as I normally would. So if you shoot me an email, I can get back in touch with you much quicker that way. If you have any concerns or issues this year, please make sure you get a hold of me. If you have troubles with accessing things online, the internet, how to find stuff in Classroom or on Schoology, if you want to let me know what isn't working for your kid or what I'm doing isn't working, let me know so I can try to improve it. And if I'm doing something that is working, that I should do more of, I would really appreciate it if you let me know that too, so I can try to make the best of this new learning environment we're all dealing with right now. One big question many of you may have right now is, how is this mirrored learning thing going to look in this classroom? Well, kids who are in the classroom will be masked all the time, and we'll be doing our best to maintain social distancing. As you saw earlier in the classroom tour, the desks are spaced as far apart as I can get them, and I've got people sitting back at lab tables too. We will be splitting labs up so that in classroom students will be working with virtual students at the same time. That'll reduce the number of people back in lab at any one time and allow the folks who are learning from home to work with us here in the classroom and feel like they're part of the class, which I think is an important thing. Another common concern many people have, including myself, is what happens if the teacher has to go virtual because of quarantine or isolation issues, or if a student needs to, or if a whole class needs to. If I have to go virtual, my plan is to do as much teaching from home as possible, and there will be a sub in the room to help with supervision of the kids and helping them with things like that, assuming I'm healthy enough to do that. If your student has to go virtual for a little while, they're not feeling well, or they're showing symptoms of COVID and they have to stay home because of that, they can just log into the Zoom and participate in the class just like all the other students who are doing virtual. And if they have to be gone for extended periods of time, then we'll make allowances. We'll try to figure out what are the core essential things they need to get done and what things can we move them through a little quicker and move over so they can be up to date with the class and feeling like they're not too far behind. When a kid is learning virtually at home, I do expect them to log into Zoom with us every day at the beginning of class with their camera on so that I can see them and interact with them a little bit. If we're having bandwidth issues, they can ask to turn off the video so that they can get more solid streaming of what we're doing in class. And they'll be participating right along with everybody else. They'll see what I'm doing live. They'll see what the other kids are doing. They'll be able to interact with those kids and with me as we go. So it'll be as close to being in the class as we can possibly make it for them. And I'm making sure that the labs and things I do will work well in class as well as at home. The next part I'd like to cover with you guys is just some class-specific things. So most of this is in the syllabus that you can get on Classroom. I already showed you where that was. You can go through it in a little more detail there. But for anatomy and physiology, a few things that often come up. One's kind of what's our content we cover. Well, we cover anatomy, which is the study of the parts of the body, where they're at, what their structure is, and what their names are. And then we have the physiology, which is how they work, the chemistry of them, how things interact and things like that. We start off the year with the small stuff, cells, histology, which is tissues. And then we're going to move on to covering all the systems. So we'll go system by system throughout the body, starting with the skin on the outside, and we'll end with the reproductive system at the end. And within that, we're going to do a lot of different labs. As most people know, we do the cats and the cat dissections, and we'll start dissecting those towards the end of this first quarter, and we'll wrap them up probably in May. And we'll do detailed dissections with most of our systems on those cats. So we'll spend a lot of time back in lab doing that. And we're teaming up our in-person students with our at-home students so that they can work together on the cats. Obviously, the at-home students won't be able to get their hands dirty, so to speak, on the cats, but they'll be able to see things and work with the groups. NASCO does sell cats. They're kind of pricey. They also sell minks, which are much cheaper and are close to the cats. If a student really wants to do some dissection at home, you can get that from NASCO along with maybe a scalpel, a probe, and some scissors, and you'd be able to do most everything with that. I can work with students individually if that's something they're interested in. So we've got the dissections. We have a number of different labs where we actually experiment on ourselves, blood pressure, pulse rates, respiration. We do a couple labs where we get a few drops of blood to do some various tests with that, and we do it in a very safe manner, universal precautions and all of that. As far as grading goes, homework and kind of daily work, small labs are worth about 10% of the grade because that's where they're doing their learning. So it's good to keep track of that, see where they're having trouble, where they need help, where they know stuff really well, and they can just move on. But it shouldn't count for a large chunk of the grade. Some kids will pick it up really quick and some will take longer. And I don't really care how long it takes you to learn it as long as you learn it by the end. And that's why the final tests and large labs and projects are worth 90% of the grade. That's where you can prove to me what you know when it's all said and done. At the end of the unit, this is what you know, and this is what you can do, and that's should be the biggest part of your grade. Along with that, though, we do have retakes. And you can do retakes just on an individual objective. Remember how when I showed you Schoology, we had the 4 different objectives in that first unit, and if they did great on 3 of them but not so well in one, they can just redo that one objective. The exception to that would be if they fail an objective, I will make them retake it. They can't be satisfied with failure in my class. And all they have to do, they have to, study and get help from a friend, from me, redo some study guides, do something to show me that they have prepared for the retake before they do the retake. But then they're welcome to do the retakes with me. But I do need to know they're doing them and when they're doing them and that sort of thing. They can't just decide they're going to do a retake one day and do it at midnight at home. That won't work for me. So in conclusion, thanks for joining us here tonight at Parent Night. And if you couldn't make it in person, I'm glad you're able to at least watch this video and email me if you have any questions. If you are here on Parent Night between 5:30 and 7:30, when you're done with this, please go to the Zoom link that your student can show you on Classroom, and then you'll be able to talk with me live. I'll be inside the house at that point because it'll be dark out probably. And you can ask me any questions or concerns you have at that point in person, so to speak, via Zoom. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else for you guys tonight, so have a wonderful night. Thanks for coming along on this journey of what this year is going to look like, and I look forward to working with your students and you this year. Have a good night. Bye.